Video games have become a rapidly expanding field in entertainment media. A major trend that has plagued the industry for decades is microtransactions, which are typically low-cost virtual items that add to a player's experience, such as cosmetics or better in-game items.
When you're playing a free-to-play game such as a mobile game, and they suggest purchasing a bundle of coins, gems, and power-ups for $7.99 to advance faster in the game. In bigger games on consoles and PCs, these microtransactions are presented as expiration-based items, surprise items, loot boxes, and paid progression systems based on XP to unlock items called battle passes.
Many even consider microtransactions a form of gambling.
I had to literally fight for this, y'all.
Yes! Yes!
No.
Go through!
No.
Get off of me!
No.
Ow!
Loot boxes especially can be compared as they feed into impulsive behavior and the brain's reward system. Purchasers hope they can take their investment and win big by opening a pack and receiving a valuable in-game item.
Electronic Arts, or EA for short, is a big company that has often had microtransactions in their games. The company was started by Trip Hawkins in 1982 during the home electric awakening alongside Apple, Microsoft, and others. It was made with the intention of promoting interactive media with proper credit and compensation given to individual artists or game designers. Hawkins often formatted his company after the music industry. The graphic design of the game gatefold sleeves resembled rock albums. This can be seen among some of the first titles published in EA in 1983. Hard Hat Mac, Pinball Construction Set, Archon, Mule, Worms, and Murder on the Zendernoof.
The fall of the Atari and home consoles among the general public, named the video game crash of 1984, was due to a surplus of low-quality games by third-party developers, such as EA, resulting in a switch. EA, in the 80s, focused on business and marketing their games as a whole, building brand recognition rather than one-off games.
This was the start of EA's switch in company motivations and purpose. The gaming industry, even in the beginning, was a fight to remain relevant and to stay profitable. EA had begun to realize the profitability of sports games with the success of the game One-on-One, which followed into newer sports licensed games such as Ferrari Formula 1, Jordan vs. Bird One-on-One, and more, eventually blossoming into today's esports of Madden, NBA, NHL, and Strike, from the longest-running and successful game, John Madden Football, in 1988. Later, EA Sports and Strategy paved the path to maximum profitability across multiple platforms such as Game Boy, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo 64, and more. Once The Sims was introduced, EA had a whole different company outlook, even received the reputation of being money-hungry.
The history of EA and the use of various purchasable currencies in games can be actualized by the Marxist theory of historical materialism. This critique provides insight that the economic status, its highs and lows, influences societal, political, and institutional development. The modern video game industry has pushed EA into a fully profiteering business model. Marx could even argue that it tricked and influenced the massive microtransaction society within the game's artificial society. Even in a game of Madden, you're forced into an artificial social positioning such as a ranking system with other players, and may have purchased better players, which artificially boosts their ranking without reflecting overall skill in the game, favoring players who spend more money and pressuring others to do the same.
EA transitioned from focusing on quality game design to profitability strategy that surpassed just buying the base game and transformed into nickel and diming its players at every opportunity.
Another prevalent strategy to get consumers to spend money is by artificially inflating the time to unlock specific aspects of the game. In Star Wars Battlefront 2, iconic characters such as Darth Vader were locked behind a 40-hour grind to become playable. Or players could just spend their money to buy loot boxes in hopes that they could obtain the character quickly, influencing players to go with the chance at instant gratification by opening their wallets to the megacorporation, further lining the pockets of the bourgeoisie.
The economy of Madden is made of two currencies, coin and Madden points, that serve their own purposes. Coins are attainable without spreading money by completing time-consuming missions or selling players in the player auction house. Madden points can only be used to purchase packs in store. The design of the Madden points and coins both being used pushes the player to purchase virtual card packs in hopes that they will pull a valuable player.
I'm on green! Oh my goodness! Holy Jesus!
But if a player wants to buy a specific player with Madden points, that is not possible. The low odds of gaining coins through the purchasing of packs pushes players to spend more and more money in hopes that they can one day afford all of their favorite players. Collecting cards of the NFL is crucial and determines how good your team is. Many people spend thousands to get a possibility to raffle for a rare card, essentially gambling.
What's EA's response to criticism calling it gambling? A current executive called loot boxes surprise mechanics, legal rewording at its finest.
The controversy with Star Wars Battlefront 2 due to the inclusion of loot boxes and making famous characters tedious to obtain created an EA microtransaction controversy.
Admitting the microtransactions in Battlefront 2 overshadowed an otherwise great game.
With lots of backlash and movement to get rid of microtransactions. So much so that EA's company's stock fell by 8.5%. Another example is Sims' holy grail of microtransactions, DLCs, or downloadable content. It's a purchasable update or version of the game to add exclusive features, costumes, themes, characters, levels, and more.
EA reported its Q3 2020 financials that made almost $1 billion from microtransactions, a 27% increase from the year prior.
Activision, a similar company, reported its total net sales of $8.35 billion in 2021. 61% of those sales were from microtransactions.
EA's profit strategy can be applauded for its use of popular franchises or brand names. However, it can be critiqued as converting them into something complex, but rather twisted with consumeristic ideals. Marxism economic determinism theory can suggest that the 20th century increase in technology played a substantial role in controlling society's social, political, and most notably, economic landscape. The revolution of technology, especially in the gaming industry, has allowed for the creation of gameplay, gaming industry monopolies, and microtransactions.
Economics everywhere has an underlying hierarchy based on the range of high and low aggregates, whatever those aggregates may be. In this case, microtransactions, more specifically in-game purchasing, have become their own society. This is so much so that human-created class division has seeped into artificial gaming economics in two forms: economic class division and social class division.
Players are limited by the real-world financial limitations. Those who can afford to pay for overpowered characters or powers rise to the top quickly, even if they're not as skilled. Most players with better teams or characters shame others for not being able to compete on the same level, creating a fictional societal hierarchy in gaming.
How could it have developed any different, though? The gaming industry has told us what to care about. They push the social weight and consumerism upon an artificial world that is supposed to be fun and separate from that. A socialist approach with little to no microtransactions would be beneficial in evening the playing field and making it more enjoyable for all and anyone. Marxist socialist revolution theory suggests overthrowing these capitalistic vultures, the bourgeoisie, or in this case, the gaming company, and their excessive leeching. Perhaps instead, gaming companies should focus on their base game as best as they can rather than relying on DLCs or loot boxes to make it entertaining. Consequently, though, the high quality of graphics and unique narratives couldn't have been possible without the high earnings of companies to pay their substantive employees.